Footballfigure.net players are very, very different from the Tudor players as far as composition. They're much more rubbery. So I'm going to show you what happens when I try to use this heat gun, which worked so well with the Tudor player. Basically what it did, it just melted the plastic so it was extremely flexible. Let's see what happens here. So just to give you an idea, if you've never seen a Footballfigure.net player, it's very, very flexible. I mean, I don't even need these pliers to move it around. So you can get some change in the figure by just pressing it, but the problem is it keeps coming back. So one thing I thought of was, I have the heat gun. Let's see what happens if I try to, let's say, take this lower arm and maybe lift and pull it out a little bit. So instead of being next to his body, that it's actually hanging out a little bit. Alright, going to switch. Yeah, it's pretty hot. I'm going to stick his shoulder right in there. So what I'm trying to do is I'm really trying to heat up this area here so I can start pulling this arm away. And what I found in the previous figure I tried to do this with, it tested my patience quite a bit, and I did not succeed with the heat gun. I did succeed with the lighter method, so I torched it and turned it into a marshmallow. I see how much it's so soft, it's not even funny. But the problem is, even as I'm disfiguring the shape of the arm a little bit, it refuses. It's like working with a marshmallow, right? It just refuses. It just wants to go back to that shape. So, my conclusion for these figures is, I mean, look at it. Look how soft that is. It just won't stay. The whole figure is just spongy. My conclusion with this figure and all the Footballfigure.net is to do what Reginald Rutledge says, which is to cut it and to cut it again. If you want, let's say if you want this leg to come up, he would suggest cutting this. Perhaps making a change in the angle here. I'm going to use a razor blade, it'll be easier. Change the angle on this just a bit. And I'm just going to get rid of the base here. Make sure that I could use this. Makes life a lot easier. So this is the best crazy glue there is. It's called Bob Smith Industries. I don't know if the glue's any better, but this nozzle, I mean, this has been pretty beat up. It's about 2 years old, and it still works. Now, sometimes what I do is before I glue something together, I'll take the emery board and just rub it to kind of smooth it out. This is the other thing. The way the crazy glue works in the commercials when I was a kid, basically this is the piece that was missing. It's this the stuff that helps it cure instantly. It's got a little bit of a stink to it. I'm going to spray that. Then I think that would look more natural, right? So that's what I'm going to do. Put it right down there. So once again, I take a little pinch of glue. Now some people say to let it sit for a half a minute or so, or a minute. I just like this glue activator. The only problem is the fingers and the skin love it too. So anyway, so this gluing and reattaching, I'm not sure if I like that. I think I moved it too quickly. Anyway, this gluing and reattaching is how Footballfigure.net players are customized. So now this guy's got a little bit of an angle, the way I put him down. So for example, just figures I've done in the past, you take the base of this guy and you take what they call the blitzer. The problem with the blitzer, I just don't like the balance of them. But I take the top half of them and I put them on this, and of course you paint it purple like a Vikings figure, and I don't know how bad could it be, right? So here you go. So this is, come on, glue. This is the bottom of this guy and the top of that guy. I mean, all I did was just take the razor blade, slice these guys off right at the belt line, and glue. That's it. The other thing you can do is cut the players off of their platforms and re-glue them onto the base like this. So this is, you know, this is the receiver in the corners versus receivers. This is one of the guys I had on there. So basically just glue him down on his elbow and his knee. So if I were to take this fellow here, actually I'll just snip him off like this and like this. It's not a believable diving position, so you may want to reposition. For example, you might want to put this arm up here so both arms in front of the face like he's catching the ball. You might want to move that leg back. And again, you just glue him onto the base like that. And remember, he's not supposed to overhang more than 8 millimeters front or back, so you may need to shorten his leg. Like here you see I cheated on this guy. You see how his calf area is small. So the other thing you can do with a Blitzer figure is put him on a different base. This is, you know, a guy who's had his legs out wide. I just put him sideways on a base and put him like this and put him in a sideways base. So the Blitzer bottom is really good for putting him on a receiver. This guy's got his arms out. I've got other guys with their arms, you know, tucked in a little bit more. You know, again, you put him on a boat base, and this guy's pretty slippery. As long as he's fast, and again, what you want to do is you want to put the weight, whatever weight you can get up to, you know, the 4 grams, if that's what you're playing. Put it right in the front on this guy, because all of his weight's in the back, so you want to balance that out. So that's what I play. That's how I do footballfigure.net. And one thing I told you before, if you torch it with a lighter, then you know you could burn it. So here I had a guy, probably, well, it's the opposite of this guy with the other leg up. And what I did is I just burned him, torched him pretty good, just like a marshmallow, and actually it almost looked like a marshmallow. Then I took the pliers and just kind of lifted the shoulders up. So I spread his arms out, and then I did the same thing with his leg. I snipped it here and I bent it and curled it up. So anyway, with a lighter, it works. With the heat gun, not so much. So there you go. But to really understand how to customize footballfigure.net, yeah, I can't do justice to the football figure net players the way Reginald Rutledge does. I mean, look at this figure. I mean, John Gilliam, he's got gloves on, yellow on the inside, purple on the outside. He's got this towel over here. I mean, the action figure here, he's got the towel going on. I mean, this is amazing. But basically what he's got videos online customizing DVDs that show how to make all this. And there's a million cuts on these, you know, cut and glue with the glue accelerator. Wild figures. You got the, you know, the neck brace thing. I got, you know, he decaled them up for me and everything, elbow pads, you name it. That's what the football figure net figures are supposed to look like. Again, my way is the quick and dirty. I just put one piece on the other, and I like that too.